Down here at the University of Southern Mississippi for Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi, we welcome now Wendy Copeland, a CAST coordinator for Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. Wendy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for letting us be here.
All right, so tell the folks first about the CAST program itself, and also I noted that Mississippi has quite a large number of CAST programs in the universities in the state. What's going on there? Yeah.
We do. Well, I mean, CAST is an interdisciplinary program, and it was created to give those students that are actually going into fields where they may be dealing with children and child advocacy, to give them a little bit more support, give them a little more practical learning and experiential learning. We do a lot of simulations, and our instructors do a lot of simulations, and it helps them just be a little bit more prepared. And you're right, we do have a great number of CAST programs in the state. In fact, I loved being able to say that when Mississippi is the leader in something, and we are the leader in CAST programs. We have more in the state than any other state in the United States, and there are about 100 programs in the United States, and we have about 20 of those, a little more than 20 of those. So it is really something to be proud of.
Yeah. So what would possess someone to enter this course of study? I mean, does this kind of take a calling, I would think?
Well, you scare me a little bit when you say possess, but no, I mean, that's the beauty
Mentally
of it, yes, is that CAST, like I said, it is interdisciplinary, but, you know, after we talk to some of the students, when it is for everybody, especially that first introductory course. It really doesn't matter if you're going into a child advocacy field or not. Those first courses are good for anybody that's going to be a parent. You know, I mean, when you think about what you do in your life, and even if it's not job related, if we think about people that have children and there are other children in their homes, or people that volunteer at their church and teach Sunday school classes, or, you know, people just, they interact with children all throughout their life. And so some of these basic principles, this information that's being taught in those early classes, are great for anybody. And I didn't answer your question. What would possess somebody?
Yeah, I mean, what motivates?
I mean, you know, if there are people that you know, are drawn to different fields, obviously, but those that really want to make a difference and want to see, we know that what we've been doing in Mississippi and child advocacy nationwide needs some improvement. And so for those that want to make a difference, we want to help them, especially those that come to the field motivated, and we don't want them to lose that momentum. So we want to make sure that they are adequately prepared. We want to make sure that they have the best tools possible, and they have a realistic expectation.
You described it as an interdisciplinary field. Just wondering how much of the training is guided by experience in the field. Those that graduate from the programs, they go out and they serve in these roles. Do they come back and communicate, hey, these are the kinds of things that I'm running into that perhaps should be included?
Yes, we ask our professors quite often what are some of the things that they feel like they need to enhance in their classrooms. What's some of the feedback that they've gotten from their students, and then we are also working on trying to create a database so that we can conduct some research with those graduates to see where can we add to the program. We have had students come back, yes, absolutely, and say, I wouldn't have been able to do this except that I went through the simulation and I was able to learn firsthand. If there's something that transitions from the book knowledge to the application. We all know that application is the highest form of learning, and so letting them being able to do that and experience it really helps them to retain the information and to know how to proceed.
Where are the job opportunities for a person once they complete this study? And is there some sort of certification associated with this as well? There
is not a certification at the moment. However, we as Mississippi are looking into that to do on a state level, then hopefully a national level at some point with other CAST organizations. Mm-hmm. But no, when we've talked a lot about CACs today because that's the department that we are with. We are the statewide chapter of the Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. And so our centers, they work with multidisciplinary teams. So when we have a multidisciplinary team, that includes law enforcement. That includes our criminal justice. That includes medical. That includes mental health. So what disciplines? It's almost every discipline you can actually find yourself and being able to take some of these CAS courses. And that's what makes the difference, and that's what makes it matter, is when we get through these simulations, we have the students say, wow, I really understand their role, and they appreciate it. And so it helps them to learn how to work together in the professional workplace.
What about the availability of support for students who are interested?
Thank you for asking that. We work hard at Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi to make sure that we can not just promote the program, but also support those students. And so we have done things for a number of years. We have offered student scholarships to our annual conference. We also offer a student rate. We offer a CAS track. We've offered CAS internships at our CACs. And again, I mentioned the database, and so we hope to use that to send job opportunities and other professional training opportunities to those students.
Gotcha. So do you find that most of the students in the Mississippi that complete this program, do they stay in the state, or do they seek work out of state? Combination too?
That is something that we're working on tracking, and we'll continue to track. But a lot do stay in the state. Of course, that's not. We realize that's not. That people are going to travel outside the state for job opportunities, and that's fine. We see it as just an increase in our reach. But we are seeing changes in Mississippi as a result of this. Mm-hmm.
What about the compensation for these positions? Is it experiencing an increase as a result of excess demand versus supply, or where does that equilibrium stand?
We have organizations that are working with us to increase compensation for those that have a CAS certificate or a CAS minor, so that they can their compensation is a little higher right out the gate. So CPS is working with us on that, and so that is something that we will continue to work with organizations to make that more widespread throughout the state.
So to what extent would an individual involved in this line of work with the Mississippi's Department of Child Protective Services? Does that enter into the equation in here?
They really love having our CAS students, our CAS graduates, as it's been mentioned before on the program today, that helps them to kind of already come in with a little bit more of training, and they don't have to spend as much time educating those professionals. And so we are continuing to work with CPS, and we will continue to work with any other organizations to do that. We have had lots of talks about how we can help some of these people, these CAS professionals, to maybe, clip some of that training, and so we're working on that now, as a matter of fact, and we'll continue to do so. So it's going to be beneficial to the agencies as well as the students.
I hear a lot from CPS and Department of Human Services as well, when they are involved in some of these situations, that the caseload can be overwhelming. Is that situation improving?
I think that they are working to improve that. CPS has made a lot of new hires. They are working on getting those people trained, and they will continue to do that. And we are working with the state and Title IV funds to help address that throughout the state. So working with the colleges and Child Protective Services, the more professionals that we can put out in the workforce, then that will help to decrease that workload.
So what about the funding for these programs? Is this all public funded, combination public-private? How does that work?
Well, when I mentioned that we supported our students in a number of ways, that comes from grant funding, and so we do a lot of grants here at our chapter, and we support a lot of it that way. But as far as a school creating a CAS program, there's a minimal cost. I mean, there is no cost to us, and not really to them. It's just a matter of working those courses within their curriculum, and if they have to open additional classes, that is a cost that they recoup, because they have that many more people that are registering for those classes. So the biggest investment is just maybe a little bit of time on the forefront, and that's why Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi has been so forward-thinking in hiring CAS coordinators to work with the schools, so that we can help alleviate some of that. We have a statewide network of other instructors and resources that they can work with, and make that a little bit easier to launch that program. So costs are very minimal.
The principle of experiential learning is a fascinating one. Has this always been part of the program in this sort of training? It
has always been part of the CAS program. It was one of the principles that it was founded on. But when you look at the medical community, you see that they've been doing simulations for a very long time. Yeah. And so believe in my mind that CAS kind of took their cue from that. I teach in a different program, and I tell my students all the time, I don't care if you can memorize the steps with surgery. I need you to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're really making sure is that these students can actually, have a realistic expectation and actually do what they've been trained to do without hesitation.
Gotcha. Wendy, appreciate you coming on, and thanks for having us here today.
Thank you.
Wendy Copeland, CAS Coordinator, Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. It's time for a break on Middays. We're stepping aside. We're coming right back. We're at the University of Southern Mississippi for Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi.